have Welly here from AWS, and I just want you to touch on the benefits of EKS, since Cloud CI runs and operates on a Kubernetes environment. So what is EKS, and how do we leverage that, and what are the benefits of running EKS versus build your own cluster?
Yeah, thanks, Wai. Like, whenever I hear about EKS and Kubernetes, EKS, of course, is the Elastic Kubernetes Service, a managed service offering by AWS. But coming back to maybe almost a couple years back when I first started using Kubernetes, it took me a couple hours, if not at least a whole day, just to set up a Kubernetes clusters, etcds, kube proxies, and then you put everything else on top of it, and then you have to auto scale it, like you mentioned, before you get it to productions ready. What we hear a lot from the customers is that they like Kubernetes because, of course, it's a very vibrant ecosystems. You have a lot of tools, you have communities in open source as well, and give you that flexibility of bringing your platform to the cloud. But coming back to what I mentioned earlier, managing that Kubernetes itself at scale typically is very hard. You have to run the cluster in productions, you have to run the patches, making sure it stay available. You want to secure it as well. You want to do, making sure you harden your Kubernetes clusters. And then coming back to day-to operations, maybe that's going to be making sure you're choosing the right versions of Kubernetes and etc. So there's a lot of that operational, operational overhead to do that, right? And then all of this really coming back to your point is that really don't move the business forward. This typically is not your primary core business, right? You're probably doing something for your customers, but you just need this platform to run. This is where I think a lot of Kubernetes customers in AWS likes to rely on EKS because it's really helped you to remove this undifferentiated heavy lifting of running operationally secure Kubernetes at scale. What is Kubernetes? EKS Kubernetes itself is there's a couple of things that we do that really highlights the feature and functionality of the EKS. So the first thing is that EKS itself does not modify the OpenShift Kubernetes, so it's fully upstream certified as well. We even backport some of the security patches to ensure like everybody in the community get the benefit of it. And we also support multiple versions of that upstream versions for a longer period of time. I believe there's 4 versions of major Kubernetes that is supported, and that gives you as a customers sufficient time if you need to do migration from one version to the other as well. And all of these security patches is also backported to those versions, which helps you, ensuring that you stay secure, even though maybe you are 1 or 2 versions behind of the latest release, for example. And EKS provides that managed Kubernetes experience. So it's providing you to, you don't have to choose the right version of Kubernetes version, for example. You don't have to, define what is that dependency validation looks like, stability of the control plans. We automatically deploy it across 3 availability zones, which mean like almost like 3 data centers, you can think about it. And the control plane itself is automatically auto scale for you. So really, I think the summary of the benefit is that it's EKS bring this combine of like a EKS as a managed service. And then if you run a managed solutions on top of it, it really helps you as a customers really focus on the business and deliver results and not to worry about the infrastructure itself.
Great, thanks, Welly. And for those who are new to Kubernetes, like all of that would have been probably Greek. And it just speaks to the complexity of these infrastructure components that are real requirements that you need to run your systems, right? And do you want to spend time running and managing that when that's really not your primary focus, or it doesn't bring value to your business? And layering on top of the managed EKS is running the actual application. So coming back to Cloud CI, running that on top of EKS is another added benefit. So then it's really self-service. I consume the application as opposed to now having to manage and update the application, which is something that IT methods would do on your behalf.